Hello everyone. We are gonna do a September wrap up plus my October TBR. Lucas gave me a few books for Halloween and of course I wanted to read them all. So I was thinking, because before I wanted to do like a TBR prompt to choose as my reads, but then at the same time I really wanted to read the books that he gave me for Halloween, so I kind of just chose my own TBR. And I'm gonna get to it, but we need to first wrap up September. And may I say, September was so weird. Like, so weird. The stack is quite big. I didn't expect it. But we also have a DNF here. We didn't have any 5 stars. We continue 2 series. The sun is booming now. Okay, let's get into it because we have a lot of books to talk about. We started the month with The Dog of the North. Now I bought this in Portugal in a promotion. Thank God I didn't pay the 15 bucks that it says that it was. I paid like 6 bucks for this book. And it just sounded very interesting. It's about this woman, she's what, 30s I think? And the plot of this book is the fact that her parents went missing in Australia 5 years prior. And I feel like I didn't care at all about her parents going missing. And I feel like that was the first sign that I was like, okay, this story it's just not giving anything. So yeah, I ended up giving up on this book and I do feel bad. I feel like I could have gone to the end, but hold your breath. I did skip to the last chapters and I learned absolutely nothing new. So then I was like, yeah, I'm not just about, because I read 200 pages. This book is very short. I read 200 pages, so I was over half. And I just didn't care to read the rest, so I skipped to the last 2 chapters and nothing at all was brought into my attention. Nothing new, that is. So I gave up on it. And that was the first book of the month. Yay. Second book of the month was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I actually really like this book. I'm so sad that it was like so small. This is only like 290 pages maybe. How many? 280 pages, and then the rest is another book's first chapter. I really like this book and I was so sad that it was so short, but it's basically about a girl that, as you guessed, has half a soul. Half a soul was stolen when she was a child and she is now like a teenager, I think, and she discovers that there's this world of fairies, or she knows that there's this world of fairies, and something starts happening to children in her area. And there's this Lord Sorcerer, which is like this wizard kind of, that is trying to find out what is happening to the children. She decides that she wants to help as well. Because she only has half a soul, she can't feel emotions quite like everyone else. So she finds herself not getting sad at situations that she should be sad, not crying when she should be crying. So she can't love fully, she also can't be sad fully. So she needs to go through all these kind of emotions but without having those emotions, and she gets thrown into the fairy world where she discovers there's half of her, because half of her soul is in the fairy world. And I don't want to spoil it much more, but it's the subplot of romance that happens in this book was chef's kiss. It gives like a Bridgerton vibe because it is set in the Regency England. It's so cute. And she's trying to find a husband like every single person, but of course because she only has half a soul, no one really wants her because they can see that she has something missing, and the subplot was just chef's kiss. I loved it. Then of course after a book like that was so good and so nice and so cozy, kinda, I wanted a thriller. And I went to my first attempt of reading a thriller. It was The Whispers. Now when I say my first attempt at reading a thriller is because I really wanted to read a thriller. I've read millions and I was feeling like one. So I attempted it with this one. This was not a thriller. Okay, it is advertised as a thriller, but it was basically a family drama. It was a family drama for 400 pages, 420 pages of family drama. I didn't feel thrilled at all. I didn't feel nothing. I gave this book a 1 star. When I finished this book and I gave it a 1 star, you have no idea how upset I was. I was just screaming through the house. I couldn't believe that I wasted my time reading this. I just couldn't. And all I wanted was a thriller and all I got was this. I don't even remember what happens here. I know some event. I need to close that cut. Give me a second. I know something happens because there's this, like, they live in a rich area and there's this woman that is like the richest of them all, and something happens, but I cannot even remember what happened. And I didn't even write a review on this, I just gave it a 1 star and that was it. I love that there's different points of views. There's I think it was 3 different people. Oh, I remember. Yeah, okay. I cannot spoil it because the back doesn't tell you that, so it's stuff that you discover within the book. Something happens one night, and the book is all throughout that one night, but giving you flashbacks from the past as well. I just felt like I was seeing these women. So there's 3 or 4, I don't even remember. 4. There's 4 women. And I just remember feeling like I was just watching a bunch of females making bad decisions to create a plot for a book. That's literally how it felt. I didn't feel once that what they were choosing to do would actually happen in real life. You know, I feel like any mother, I'm not a mother, but any mother in these situations would not have chosen to do anything that they did. Ashley Audrey, it just felt like she was trying to create a plot along the book, so she just kept writing and writing until a plot came along, and I gave it a 1 star. I couldn't care less for it. I didn't even remember what this was about. I just couldn't care less for it, and I was pissed. I was pissed because we get to the end of the book and the situation, the little secret that happened one night doesn't get fixed. Or I mean, you discover what it is and you're like, what? And then nothing gets done and it hangs on a cliffhanger. 400 pages of a book for that. Are you joking? Not satisfied with my thrillers, I went to another one. Also not a thriller. I gave it a 2 star because it was slightly better than the previous one, but at the same time it was also not thrilling at all. It just felt like family drama but with more families. And I remember writing this on my review, I felt like I was reading one of those magazines where there's a bunch of options A, B, C or D. And I was thinking, I would have replied like that. Oh no, maybe I would reply like that. That's how it felt, this book. It felt like I was reading a magazine and there was a bunch of options put out for me. I just had to choose what option I wanted because all of these different families acted so differently. And again, this is not a thriller. This was a suspense at best. And it follows a woman, Cecilia, was it? John Paul and Cecilia. Cecilia discovers an envelope that is from her husband and it says to open in case of his death. He's not dead. And when she confronts him with it, he says, please don't open it, blah, 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 and he's away at work. So then she doesn't open because the husband asked her not to, but she gets this thing in the back of her mind that's saying, but why was he so panicky, blah, 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 blah. And then the husband gets home. He left his work trip early to come and stop the woman from opening the envelope. She hadn't opened the envelope, but because she saw that he came home because of it, she was like, okay, something must be wrong. So she doesn't open the envelope, and then this happens like on the 40% left of the, maybe 30% left of the book. I just couldn't care less for what that letter said. At one point when we finally discovered what the letter said, I was just, okay, so what? I just couldn't care less. I gave it a 2 star, I think, and I keep it. Like, I've heard a lot about Leanne Moriarty, but this was not a good first book for me. Or maybe it's just because I went with the wrong expectations. I went wanting a thriller and I was left with the family drama. Great. At least I only paid €2.50 on this one and €1.50 on this one. So that's a plus. Because I was having such a bad time with these previous books, I decided to go for something that I knew I was gonna like. I went with Carol Fortune, One Golden Summer. I read in August every summer after, so then I had to read One Golden Summer. You know, I was just itching to get to Charlie's point of view. I gave it a 4.5. I really liked the book, and I can remember specific things that happened, but at the same time, it was nothing that was like, wow. You know, like it didn't get me that 5-star feeling. It was really well written, just like Every Summer After as well. It just didn't stick to my mind. I don't know why, but I do remember everything that happened, and their story was really cute. And it's like they met as teenagers, but they're not aware that they met as teenagers. So then now they're 30 years old, and I love this dual timeline. I love it. It makes it so much more interesting because you're seeing the like what is happening right now, but you're also seeing like how it all started. I love that. We also get some snippets of the previous couple of Every Summer After, Sam and Persephone. Perse. I think that's her name. I think it was Persephone. How do I forget a name like this? I think it was Sam and Persephone. I just wish I would have read it when I was at the cabin, because I feel like the vibes would have been immaculate, but it was good still. Going to my first translated book ever. This is What You're Looking For Is in the Library by Michiko Ayoma. I love it. It was good. It wasn't wow. I gave it, I think, a 3.75. I really like this book. It felt like therapy. I think on my review I said that. It just felt like written therapy. You're following a few people that all, at some point of their lives, end up in this library with this woman that deep down knows what these people's wishes really are. And she tries to lead them in the right way to change their lives. So they all have something in common, and it's that their life is at the point that they're not happy with. And they end up all, by some reason, in a library at different times, just like at the perfect time for their life. They end up in this library, and there's a librarian that guides them through the path that would be the most successful for them and that would bring them happiness. And that's pretty much it. That's part of the reason why I can't give it more than 3.5 stars. It's just because it was just lacking. Like, at the same time, I feel like the chapters, this is a very short book. It only has 250 pages, and you're following 5 or 6 different characters. So each character doesn't get that long of a time to shine. But I did feel like it was enough, you know? I felt like I was never getting bored, but I was also never like eager to read more about it, because she just ended each character's chapter really well. If you want something short and sweet, for sure pick this up, but it's not a read that I will be itching to read again. I was so happy for this. I was looking forward to this. This actually came as a prompt of the book that you are the most excited about at the moment. No wonder. I was itching to get to this beast. This beast is 685 pages, almost 700 pages of a book, and is called Crush by Tracy Wolf. This is the second book of a series. I actually don't know. I think the series is called Crave, and the first book is called Crave. This is about a school of paranormals. They have vampires, they have dragons, they have werewolves, they have witches, and you just follow the life of this mortal woman called Grace. I'm not going to tell you about this book in specific because it is a part of a series, so you need to read the first book to then reach the events that happen here. But it follows the life of Grace, whose parents unfortunately die at an accident, a car accident, and she needs to go live with her uncle in Alaska. And her uncle runs a school, which is this Katmere Academy. And she ends up, of course, going to that school as well, because she's just 17, I think, on the first book. So she needs to finish school, of course. So she moves to Alaska, completely different vibe from, I think it was San Diego. I feel like it's San Diego. Let's pretend that it is San Diego. I'm not sure, it doesn't say in here. But let's pretend that it is San Diego. So she moves to Alaska, and she's finding the new life very difficult. And also the people at her school, she doesn't know why, because she's unaware that paranormals exist. She doesn't know why, but she is also a little unwelcomed at that school. So everyone is kind of giving her side look, and no one wants to be friends with her, until there's this beautiful soul called Jackson that first doesn't want anything with her. He's trying to kick her out of that school. She doesn't belong there because she's immortal. He just becomes so protective of her. I can't tell much more because it's gonna spoil so much. But yeah, it's an enemies to lovers situation, and her best friend Macy, which is her cousin as well, they share a room. She's a witch, and eventually, of course, Grace comes to her senses, like, how did I not see this before? So she starts noticing that everyone is actually something paranormal, and she loves it. She doesn't have a problem with it. Of course she's scared, but she doesn't have a problem with it, and she needs to kind of like just integrate herself into that school, even though she's immortal, and it's gonna be hard. But you follow all the challenges and all the friendships that she creates with werewolves and witches and vampires, and how it felt for her as a mortal to be there. I loved it. And then this book, I think I only gave it like 4.5 stars. Only. That's a really high rating. And I don't regret it one bit. I don't regret it one bit. It's really good. I cannot wait to read the next ones, and there's like 5 of them. So I'm really happy about it. And last book of the month, we read What Happens After Midnight by K.L. Walther. I didn't care about these characters. The story had so much potential. It had so much potential. We are following Lily Hopper. She is graduating high school, and there's this prank that every single seniors in her high school needs to pull up, that someone gets chosen as the jester, and they're supposed to play a prank on the rest of the school, and she gets invited to be part of this prank. Does this say in the back of the... yeah. She gets invited to this prank, and of course she's invited by none other than her ex-boyfriend, that they never actually got over each other, so they're still very much in love, and then they fall back in love. That's all that happened here. I felt like nothing, absolutely nothing happened of a plot that would just be interesting. You know, like you're following, this is all throughout like one night where they're playing that prank. Like it's a whole night preparing for that prank. And that's another thing. The thing that they had to do to pull off this prank could have been done in 2 hours. It took them 6. I was like, that was a bit exaggerated. The back tells you everything the story has to offer. That was probably my problem, is that everything that is written here was everything that I read inside the book. Nothing else. They have to hide clues for this prank, and they spend 6 hours hiding clues around campus. And every single clue that they have to hide, there's something that is happening and it goes wrong. I'm like, dude, how hard can it be? It pissed me off a little. It pissed me off more that I read The Summer of Broken Rules. It's right here. I read The Summer of Broken Rules last year and I loved it. I gave it a 5-star, and now I'm reading this and I'm like, dude, you had so much potential. You had so much potential. So that concludes our September TBR. It wasn't the best, and as I said, it was a bit weird. I don't know why, but I didn't have any like 5 stars. I was a bit demotivated to read because I've had so many like, bad reads. But this month is gonna change it because it's finally October. You can see my decorations are up. My windows in this one as well here. My decorations are up, and I'm so excited for Halloween month. And I couldn't do a TBR chat picks my reads because I really wanted to read these specific books in October. So that's what I'm gonna do because it's my TBR, okay? I'm just gonna go through them rapid fire. I'm currently now reading My Vampire Plus One. This is so good. My Roommate is a Vampire is the first book of this series, and I loved it. I gave it, I think, a 4-star or 4.25. I loved it, and this is not disappointing. It's so cute, and it still has the banter that I loved on the first one. It still has like the emails and text messages that the characters share between each other, and I feel like that makes the book so much more interesting. I don't know why, but I loved it. And we're basically following a vampire and a mortal, and he tells her that he's a vampire, but for some reason she thinks that he's joking, because of course you don't think vampires exist, so you're not gonna believe first time you hear it. So he keeps acting normal, and she keeps thinking that he's strange until the moment that they're facing each other, like, what you mean you're actually a vampire? And it doesn't feel like it will be a book that will blow my mind, but it is a really cute, nice, romantic read, and I'm enjoying it very much, like very much. I love the way that it's written. I love how, what's her name, Jana Levine. I love how she writes her books. It's so warm and cozy. I don't know, it's just giving Halloween. It's just giving Halloween. It could have been snowing outside, because it does occur like a blizzard, and they're stuck in a cabin through a blizzard and a lot of snow, and I'm feeling like if it would be snowing here it would be much better, but I don't have the power to choose. So next book we have The Ex-Hex. This was a book that I left from my TBR last Halloween because I didn't have time to get to all of them. So this was one of the unfortunate ones that had to wait. And I cannot wait to read it. It's about witches, it's about a woman. I think I already spoke about this book in a previous video, so I don't want to go through too much trouble, but it's a witch's book. She casts a curse on her ex, and then the ex comes back to her city and they discover that the curse that she cast was actually real. She didn't think it would be real, but it is, and the city starts having ghouls and all this ghosts and stuff going throughout it. So they need to stop the curse. They need to break the curse, and that's all I'm gonna say. We'll see if it's actually good, but it feels very cozy. And if I like this is a trilogy, so I'll have plenty of more books to read. We have When the Wolf Comes Home by, who's this? Nat Cassidy. This has a blurb by Stephen King saying terrific, sink your teeth into a classic, and also Grady Hendrix, which says the kind of great big epic horror novel we got back in the 80s that came out swinging for the fences and left everything on the field. Both of the most read, loved authors of horror books. So I'm a bit intimidated, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if when I'm gonna be, itching to read a horror book, but this kind of scares me, I'm not gonna lie. It says, one night, Jess, a struggling actress, finds a 5-year-old runaway hiding in the bushes outside her apartment. After a violent, bloody encounter with the boy's father, she and the boy find themselves running for their lives. As they attempt to evade the boy's increasingly desperate father, horrifying events of butchery follow them. At first, Jess thinks she understands what they're up against, but she's about to learn that there's more to these surreal and grisly events than she could ever imagine, and that when the wolf finally comes home, none will be spared. So I'm guessing the father is the wolf, and he's been eating people. I'm excited, but I also am scared to shit. That's the best I can describe it. We have another horror. I put 2 horrors. It is Halloween, I want to read horrors. So we have House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. The only book I had on my radar by this author was The Invocations. I don't know if you can see it, but there's The Invocations. I'm going to read to you the back because again I haven't read it, so I can't really explain it to you. It says, dark dangerous things happen around the Hollow Sisters ever since they disappeared as children, only to reappear a month later with no memory of what had happened to them. Odd, eerie occurrences following their wake. When Gray, the eldest, goes missing again, Iris and Vivi are left to figure out the mystery, but they aren't the only ones looking for her. As they brush against their supernatural, Iris realizes that the world that returned them 10 years ago might be calling them back, but just how much horror lies beneath the surface. It doesn't sound as scary as the other one, but it's still very intriguing to me. Haunted Ever After. I've been wanting to read this book since last Halloween, and I saw that there's a second book as well for this now that is, I think it just came out in September as well. What is her name? Cassie? Yeah, Cassie and Nick. So Nick lives in this neighborhood called Boneyard Key. Yeah, Boneyard Key, Florida. Nick lives here and the town is very famous for, guess, the name of the town is Boneyard Key. It's very famous for ghosts and like all the tourism surrounds the ghosts and the paranormal. So Nick owns a coffee shop and he appreciates all the ghosty things because it is what brings money to their city. And then you have Cassie, who moves into Boneyard Key from Orlando because all of her friends are getting married and having kids and she feels a bit lost, so she decides to move into the small town Boneyard Key. And she buys this rundown cottage. And when they meet, Nick takes her for a ghosty, like, little tour of the town, and it's the cutest thing. It sounds the cutest thing. I don't know. I will read it and I will let you know, but it's supposed to be a cozy paranormal romance. We'll see if it gives us that. And last but not least, a book that I have never heard anyone talk about, but I'm insanely excited to read, The Late Night Witches by Aureli Wallace, maybe? It's so pretty. Like, literally, I'm matching this book right now. Look how pretty this is. It's beautiful. It is beautiful. It happens during Halloween. So, I'm gonna be reading this at the end of October. Like, probably the last book I read in October, so that it's the exact same vibe. In the front it says, there's a lot at stake this Halloween. And in the back it says, a warm and funny novel about family, love, lost and found, and discovering who you are and how difficult it is to slay a vampire. Cassie's life is anything but magical. With a wild younger sister, 3 unruly kids, and an absent husband, she's really not looking forward to the witching month of October. At least the gorgeous, foggy Prince Edward Island is always quiet. That is, until the vampires arrive. As the creatures sink their teeth into Cassie's tenuous grip of normalcy, she's forced to come face to face with long disregarded family secrets. The legacy gives her with power, but also a lofty responsibility. Rid the island of vampires or let them win. Both options suck in more ways than one. Armed with her family, newfound friends, and a baby in a spectacularly garlicky onesie, Cassie must learn what it is to be a witch and how to fight for what she loves before time runs out. Because on Halloween night, the stakes will be higher than ever before, and it's up to Cassie to finish what the witches that came generations before her started. Tell me that doesn't sound so cozy. Tell me that doesn't sound so cozy. This feels like a 90s Halloween movie. Like, I swear, back in the 90s, they would do the best Halloween movies, and this feels just like it. This feels just like a baby in a garlicky onesie. Who would have thought about that? It sounds and feels super cozy. I cannot wait to get my hands on this. So this is the TBR that I myself chose for this October month. We have over here The Late Night Witches, House of Hollow, When the Wolf Comes Home, The Ex-Hex, Haunted Ever After, and My Vampire +1. Very excited for this. I might need some more horrors, because right now I only chose 6 books, because now in October I started working, so I don't have as much time to read. I only chose 6 for this month for that reason. I might have to put some more horror in here, because it's looking very light actually. 1, 2, 3, 4 cozy, witchy vampire books, and then 2 horror, so I might need some more horror actually now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know, right now I'm feeling like horror, but I might not be feeling like horror later in the month, so maybe let's keep to this. All of these books, for example, were on my TBR for September, so I did fulfill it all, and I still had to go grab 2 more because I only had 6, so I think I did great. And I'm very excited for this next month. And that's it. Hope you have your month full of great reads for you, and I hope there's many 5-star Halloweenish reads for you. I'll see you on the next one.